Hi, I'm Viola, and today is a big day. You see, it's my first time ever acting in this awesome short film, but I can't seem to focus at all. Why, you ask? Well, that's because I just discovered I'm not real. Or, to be exact, I only exist in my best friend's imagination. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Until yesterday, I always thought of myself as a completely normal human being. Let me tell you how it all started. The first memory I have involves my best friend Harlow. I woke up feeling dazed and confused and saw this pretty girl smiling down at me. She told me that I'd be safe now and that her parents were going to look after me. Strangely, I couldn't remember anything before that day, and no one told me what had happened. I could only guess that I'd probably been abandoned or something, and that Harlow and her parents were my saviors. So, from then on, I lived with Harlow's family, who showed me kindness and love. When I first got out of the hospital, I couldn't do anything by myself. From personal things like brushing my teeth and washing my face, to chores such as doing laundry and dumping the trash. At the time, it was Harlow who guided and helped me, like a caring big sister. Then, when we entered middle school and the boys started flirting with me, Harlow was always by my side to protect me. She told me how they would never like a plain, boring girl like me, and that they were only doing this to get close to her, as she was very beautiful. If I had a decision to make, big or small, I always consulted Harlow first, as I knew she'd know best. But recently, I noticed that Harlow was acting short-tempered with me. When I got a better grade on my English essay than her, she told me I only got that mark as the teacher just felt sorry for me. Then she stormed off. Man, I didn't mean to upset her, and it was really unfair that the teacher didn't give her the grade she deserved, as she's far smarter than I am. Then last week, this boy called Hank in our school's film club held open auditions for his short film project. Harlow was desperate to be in it, so I decided to go along with her for support. I thought Harlow's audition was marvelous, but for some reason, she wasn't picked. I was about to leave too, but then Hank asked me if I wanted to audition. So I did, and you know what? I got the lead role. I was so surprised, and so was Harlow. She insisted that they were just tricking me and I shouldn't take the part, as why would they choose a girl with ordinary looks like me to play the female lead? But still, I wanted to give it a try. Opportunities like this don't come twice, right? So I accepted the part. I know Harlow was worried that they were just teasing me, but Hank and his crew seemed nice. And maybe he finds my normal look suitable for the character. Right? The morning before the shooting day, I asked Harlow to lend me her pretty white dress to wear to the shoot. Harlow looked annoyed as she said, "You spilled coffee on that dress last time you borrowed it, remember? You didn't even bother taking care of it, and now the stain's still there." "No way! I remember washing it before returning it to you." "Well, then you remember it wrong. It's my dress, so I'm hardly going to forget what you did to it, am I?" Then she left in a temper. Strange. I remember using vinegar to clean the coffee stains, as it took me ages to scrub it off. But it is true that my memory isn't all that good. When I was a child, I once waited in the park in the rain for over an hour, just because I thought Harlow told me to meet her there on Saturday afternoon. I said Sunday afternoon. I have piano practice today, silly. So maybe I misremembered again, and really didn't wash the dress for her? That day in math class, Harlow got caught texting, so the teacher confiscated her phone. At break time, she asked me to sneak into the school administrator's room to get her phone back. But of course I refused, as I was far too scared to do that kind of stuff. "It's okay, no one can see you." Basically because you only exist in my imagination. What was she talking about? What did she mean by that? For the rest of the lesson, I kept thinking about Harlow's words. When the bell rang, seeing that I was still confused, Harlow pointed to a group of students standing nearby and told me that no matter what I did, they wouldn't see me. And that's true! When I waved my hands and talked to them, no one looked in my direction. I even snapped my fingers in front of them, but they didn't react at all. What is going on? Harlow told me that because she imagined me, she's in control of who sees me or not. Then she told me that if I still didn't believe it, I should go to the school administrator's room to get her phone. Then I'd see that she was telling the truth. The superintendent was standing right across the hallway, but Harlow assured me I'd be invisible to her. My heart was thudding like crazy, but I tried to shake back my nerves and continued to get her phone undetected. Whoa! The superintendent didn't see me at all! So, what Harlow said was true? I only existed in her imagination? That means Harlow's really the one who decides what will happen to me. And who I'll meet? So basically the author of my life story. But does that also mean that I have no control over my own life? Well, if I even have a life. Then Harlow barged into my room and said, "You've never wondered why you don't remember anything about your parents and about the time before you met me, have you?" It was 'cause I lost my memory after the accident. There was no accident, Viola. You have no previous memories because that was when I created you, as I wanted a friend to play with. I kept this truth a secret because I love you, and you always listened to me. But you've been so headstrong lately. After Harlow left, I found myself feeling so down. It turned out my whole life had never belonged to me. No wonder I was so plain and ordinary. All I am is a side character in Harlow's story. After a horrible sleepless night, I didn't even feel like going to the film set anymore. And it's already late anyway. I was laying in bed, spacing out, when Hank phoned me asking where I was. I only exist in Harlow's imagination, so there's no point filming.
Huh? What nonsense are you going on about? Stop joking, Viola. We're short on time over here.
Seeing that I didn't even bother to reply to him, but just let out a long sigh, he continued.
All right then. If that's the case, then you should at least make it count. Would you like to imagine yourself as just a boring nobody? Or a brilliant actress?
I suppose Hank's words made sense, so I got myself back together and hurried to the film set. Even if I'm imaginary, I'll make this unreal life of mine unimaginably awesome. The filming was actually a lot of fun, and everyone complimented my acting. They were probably just being nice, but it still felt good. Then Hank came over and congratulated me. Now that filming's over, you can be honest with me. I don't mind. I know you only cast me as the lead as you like Harlow.
What do you mean? And the thing you said this morning as well about only existing in Harlow's imagination?
I ended up blurting out everything to him, and you know what he did? He laughed. But when he saw that I was struggling to fight back my tears, he took my hand.
Viola, listen to me. Harlow's tricking you. The only thing not real in all of this are her words, not you.
No way. Harlow's my best friend. She would never do such a thing.
If you only existed in Harlow's imagination, how come you still decided, on your own, to show up at film set this morning? How come you still meet other people without her being around? Like, right now. Harlow couldn't have written the script with all these little details, right? Come on, Vi. Think about it.
But there was a time when Harlow made me invisible to everybody else. I snapped my fingers in front of them, and they didn't react at all. Hank asked me who these people were, and I told him. He said he'd make sure I saw sense. Then he left. This was so confusing. I cannot tell what is real and what's not anymore. The next day at school, when I was sorting my locker out, Hank dragged a reluctant-looking boy over to me. I recognized him. He was part of the group who didn't see me.
Go on. Tell her everything.
The boy told me how Harlow had bribed them to trick me. He also said that they distracted the superintendent so I could sneak into her office without being caught. What? I didn't understand why Harlow would do this to me. Hank went with me to confront her, and she faked a smile and said,
Silly Viola. It was just a joke.
So what about the fact that I can't remember anything about the time before I met you? You said there was no accident. It's also a lie, isn't it?
I never said that. Probably you misremembered again like so many times before. I view you as a sister, Viola. I'd never lie to you.
I didn't know what to believe anymore. I needed to be alone for a minute. This was all too much to process. So I ran to the nearby park to clear my mind. Suddenly, I felt something cold next to my cheek. It was Hank. He passed me some water and told me to drink it and calm down.
Viola, I think Harlow's gaslighting you. She's basically emotionally abusing you to make you question your own sanity. I know you see her as a sister, but she's really toxic.
Could it? Could it be possible that Harlow didn't have my best interests at heart? But what did she even get out of this, though? I'm not sure if this was because she wanted me to rely on her or she's jealous, but either way, knowing she could deceive me like that hurt like crazy. I didn't want to believe that that was what had been happening, but after all explanations, it's so clear now that Harlow was gaslighting me. And ever since then, I tried to avoid her as much as possible. But this was tricky, seeing as we were in the same class and lived together. I just wished I could grow up fast, so I could go to college and leave this house. At least there was good news. Hank's film in which I starred had gained attention on YouTube, and he was even selected to attend the Short Film Festival with a view to supporting the city's young talented filmmakers. Then, one day, I arrived home from school to see Harlow's parents drinking coffee with a strange woman. Huh? She sure looked a lot like me. Suddenly, she was running over to me and hugging me in her arms.
Oh, darling, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this moment.
Following a whole lot of confusion, shocking revelations, and emotions, I finally found out the actual truth. It turned out that when I was 7 years old, Mom took me on a yacht trip. Only there was a terrible accident, so we took the lifeboat to shore. But then Mom fell out and ended up being rescued by another boat. We both suffered memory loss. In fact, Mom only remembered who I was when she saw the short film I starred in on YouTube. And then she tracked me down here. After that, I returned to live with my real mom. And guess what? I now realize just how awesome I am. I'm grateful to Harlow's parents for looking after me, but I still haven't forgiven Harlow yet. I'm trying to, as I know she's not all bad, but it's going to take some time. I also feel so blessed to have Hank by my side to help me discover my confidence and value my own worth. He even says I can be in his next film project, which I'm really excited about. It's good to know that I'm actually real, and I exist outside of Harlow's mind. The world is mine for the taking. And who knows, maybe one day I'll end up being a professional actress.
Hi everyone, I'm Lydia, and I'm going to tell you my amazing but totally bizarre story. But before I do, please like and subscribe. I have a big sister, Gwen, who's 2 years older than me, and she's basically a genius. From as young as I remember, I idolized her.
What is 25 squared?
625, Dad. Honey, what's this? It's The Starry Night, an oil-on-canvas painting painted in June 1889 by the Dutch post-impressionist painter Vincent van Gogh. While I'm, a bit different.
And Lydia, I have 10 candies. I'll give you 2. So how many do I have left?
Isn't this doll cute, Daddy? Yeah, I'm no genius, with no particular talent, no flawless beauty, and almost no friends either. But Gwen didn't mind and was always supportive of me. It's fabulous! Fabulous! It's fabulous! That's why I adored her a lot and tried to copy everything she did. It's fabulous! What's so fabulous about my cat dying? Oops, wrong timing. Then, when I was 16, Gwen left for college. Out of sight, but definitely not out of mind. My parents went on about her all the time, which only made me miss her more. I dreamed of going off to college and having a perfect life, as she did. But for that to happen, I needed to shake up my plain Jane life. I wonder what my hidden talent is. Could it be dancing? No, definitely not. Okay, maybe singing would be better. Right now I'm in a state of mind I wanna be in like all the time. Ain't got no tears left to cry. That's enough. Next. Gosh, why can Gwen make it seem so easy? But at least my grades didn't fail me. I studied my butt off and finally got into law school just like Gwen did, then moved out. Yahoo! So here comes my first day of college. Send me spiritual strength, Gwenny. I successfully joined the cheerleading team and boys started noticing me. But I only had eyes for Ethan. My super handsome boyfriend. Finally, I achieved the life I'd always wanted. Thanks, sis, my real-life role model. Then one day, I arrived home to see a familiar figure waiting for me. Gwen! I was so happy, thinking she'd finally freed up time to visit me, but she looked so upset and had gained weight. A bit. College life seems to have fattened you up. Lydia, I'm pregnant. What the chocolate fudge? One eternity later, I finally managed to close my goldfish mouth, then invited her inside. I dropped out of college 6 months ago, then found out I was expecting a baby right after. My due date's in just 2 weeks, and I have nowhere to go. Please, Lydia, let me stay here. Our parents must not find out. I can't face their disappointment. How about my disappointment? She was meant to be perfect, but she's just ruined everything. What about the father? He has to study in France, so you're the only one I can rely on right now. As mad as I was, I still felt sorry for her. She is my sister, after all. So I let her stay, but refused to talk to her. During the whole week, she hardly slept a wink. She plodded around the place, constantly trying to rub her back and tensing through the pain. I hated seeing her in so much discomfort, so yes, I caved. Together, we prepared for the arrival of our new family member, and I have to admit it, I was kinda excited. Let's find an adorable, meaningful name. Okay, let me do some research. Love Rosie is my favorite movie, so let's name her Rosie. Wow, that's fast. Baby Rosie was born healthy and happy. We 3 had such a good time until one day, I arrived home from college to find a note and an envelope inside Rosie's crib. My darling Lydia, I'll be away for a while longer. 2 months, I suppose. I have to make some changes so that I can provide for Rosie. Please take care of her for me and do not tell anyone about this. I will be forever grateful for this. G. OMG! How could she do this to me? I still have college, my friends, Ethan, and now a niece? But when I turned to see Rosie smiling at me with those big, round, sparkling eyes, suddenly my heart melted. I can do this. Rosie, looks like it's just the 2 of us now. Mommy will be back soon, so please make things easy, won't you? She absolutely did not. Sometimes I wondered if Rosie was real or an AI program because every night at 3 a.m. sharp, she would cry her lungs out. And if her milk was a little colder than 98.6, she'd spit it all out. Not to mention, I have to come up with 1,000 ridiculous ways to keep her entertained. And my house was always filled with the smell of stinky diapers. But other than that, Rosie was very sweet. I can't bring myself to get angry at her. I had no other option but to take online lessons instead of going to class. One time, I forgot to turn off the mic, and suddenly, Rosie farted so loudly that the entire class immediately flocked around to look. Another time, I was so exhausted from staying up all night that I felt my eyelids drooping. Then, Lydia! Yes, dear, milk is coming! I don't think milk works for you, but an F will. Oh no. Despite my constant apologizing, I still ended up with poor results. This semester, I'd already failed 2 classes and been kicked out of the cheerleading team. You think that is the worst part? Think again. On a super lucky day, I was at Walmart, overwhelmed with dozens of diaper brands when I saw none other than Ethan. There's nowhere to hide, Lydia. You're doomed. Oh, hi, Ethan. Didn't expect to see you here. Sorry, recently I'm a bit busy. Do I know you? Huh? I'm Lydia, your girlfriend? What? It's really you? You ghosted me for the past few weeks. Jeez. Did you even take a shower? And what's that thing? Want to trap me with a baby? No, she's not my child. And it's true that I forgot to wash my hands after changing Rosie's diaper this morning, but anyway, please, I just need to look after her for a few more weeks and everything will be back to normal. That's enough. Look at you. You're just like a cave girl. By the way, use this. And you know what? We're over. No words can explain how pathetic I am right now. It's all because of your mom. She's such a... Now my life's a living misery, all because of you 2. Shh. I'm sorry, Rosie, I didn't mean it. None of this is your fault. 2 months is almost up. When your mom's back, things will be okay again. But 2 months passed, and Gwen was still nowhere to be found. Worse still, the money she left ran out. I had no choice but to find work, so I took a personal tutor job where students came to my place to study. Not a single soul applied, until one day I opened the door to see this guy. Hello, can I help you? I saw this flyer and want to attend the class. Oh, Oh, really? Sure. Come on in. Turns out he's Augustin. He wanted to get onto the same law course as me, but last year he didn't make the grade. I tried my best to keep an eye on both Rosie and Augustin in separate rooms, but once in a while, Rosie let out a squeak.
You hear that?
That's my cat. Solve this equation. I need to go to the toilet. But you went 10 minutes ago. I have a small bladder. It runs in my family. Any problems? If you fall in love with someone, just confess like this. My love for you is like diarrhea. I can't hold it in. Mwahaha! Disgusting. I pity anyone who falls in love with him. I hurried back in to see him on his phone. So much for working hard. Huh. Hey, if you really want to get into college, at least put some effort into it. Like how you did your Snow White makeup. Oh no, it's baby powder. It's flour. I'm making bread. Didn't know you can make bread in the toilet. It's okay, teen mom. No need to hide your baby anymore. No judgment here. Seeing as the game was up, I told Augustin the truth. Surprisingly, he seemed understanding and even asked if he could see Rosie. Whoa! Who knew Mr. Jokester could be so good with babies? I've never seen Rosie so full of joy and laughter like that. Gradually, I no longer saw him as my student, but more like a friend. It's not like he came to my place to study anyway. We talked a lot, even outside tutoring sessions, and I learned so much about him. You'll never fulfill your law school dreams by playing games all the time over studying. Who said law school is my dream? And this is not a game. Huh, a fashion website? Don't tell me it's yours. Yeah, I'm the founder of this brand. No way! And what's this? Can you really sell this plain cap for $200? It's not about the cap, it's about the brand's design. He then told me he had always dreamt of opening his own fashion chain, but his parents never supported it and just wanted him to be a lawyer like them. That's why he was never serious about his studies and messed about. So, what's your dream? Become the best judge in America? It's totally not a hard question, but why am I speechless? I just want to be as cool as my sister, but she's not so cool anymore. Right then, Rosie squealed and filled her diaper, which somehow saved me from the situation. But Augustin's question got me thinking. I need to find the answer. You look distracted. What's on your mind? I found it! I want to be perfect! That's vague. How do you define perfect, though? Does it make you happy? I'm not sure. How about this? Have you ever thought about it? Oh, this is nonsense. Forget it. I've forgotten to take care of myself for so long. My boyfriend dumped me, and now my friends also ignored me. I became a loser, all because of a baby. Right then, my lecturer emailed me. A last-minute spot had come up on the debate team for the most important competition of the year. This is my big chance. But how was I supposed to care for Rosie and prepare for it? After a whole night of tossing and turning, the doorbell woke me. Was it Gwen? Oh, it's just some strange guy. Hi, you must be Lydia, Gwen's sister. I'm Kyle, Gwen's boyfriend, and her baby daddy. What on earth? Look at him! I didn't know Gwen had such a weird taste in men. Aren't you studying in France or something? What? Yeah, but without my baby, France, Germany, or even the North Pole are all meaningless. Can I see her now? And after that was the reunion of the century. Thanks for taking good care of Rosie, but now I'll do it. That's my duty as her father anyway. Kyle might look intimidating, but he seemed to love Rosie sincerely. So even though it broke my heart, I gave Rosie to her dad. Besides, there's a huge opportunity waiting for me. I put all of my focus into studying, and it was all going amazingly. I ate the competition and left no crumbs, then even got invited back onto the cheerleading team. My dream life was back. But why did I feel like I had this big hole inside of me? Congratulations, best debater of the state! Thanks. Sup? You took back everything you wanted. Why the long face? I don't know. I just feel empty. So, what can we do to make you feel happy right now? So, here we are, at Rosie's place. What's that loud crying and scolding sound? I impatiently pressed the bell, and Kyle took forever to answer. OMG, is that cigarette smoke? And look at the house! It's a huge mess! What are you doing to Rosie? That's it. Give her back to me. You have no right to take her away from me. The only one who can raise Rosie with me is her mother. So tell Gwen to come back to me. What? You didn't talk to Gwen about this? Last warning. Tell Gwen to come here and ask to be my girlfriend again. Then I'll consider giving her the baby back. Excuse me, it's father-daughter time now. I fell on my knees like all my strength was drawn away. It's all my fault. I handed Rosie to him. Calm down, Lydia. Let's try contacting your sister first. I called Gwen 1,000,000 times, but no surprise, she didn't pick up. So I shot her a message about the current situation and asked her to show up ASAP. Me and Augustin waited outside Kyle's house for ages, and right when we were about to give up, Gwen finally appeared. We banged on the door, but that jerk Kyle refused to let us in. Oh, you finally showed up. If you want the brat back that badly, then it'll cost you, let's say, $5,000. What a lowlife! Gwen was inconsolable, and Augustin kept trying to kick the door down. Success! We were about to storm in, but then spotted Kyle running off with Rosie and jumped onto his motorbike. Call 911. We've got this. He led me over to his bike, and I clung on for dear life as we chased after Kyle. He was going so fast, and I thought we were going to lose him. Then suddenly, Augustin took a sharp turn up a narrow alley. What are you doing? He went the other way. Trust me, and hold on tight. We whizzed back onto the main road and managed to cut Kyle off at the town square. He tried leaving the baby there and running off, but the cops caught up just in time, and he was arrested. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have left like that. I put you all in such terrible danger. All I wanted was to make things right. Gwen, it's okay. We're all okay. After that, we all went back to her dorm. Turns out she's now a journalism freshman. And I cannot believe my eyes. How could she live in a place like this? Why are you... My life wasn't full of roses at all. The perfect image that I built up was all fake, and it completely wore me out. But this is real. It's what truly makes me happy, so please understand. I didn't know that, but I'm glad you found your dream. You'll always be my coolest sister. And with a holding hand, Gwen found the strength to tell our parents everything. They weren't angry at all, and even felt sorry for her carrying all that burden alone. Turns out it was Gwen who put all the pressure on herself. Mom and Dad even suggested that Gwen move back with them, so they could help her take care of Rosie. Finally, everything was sorted out, except I realized law was not my passion after all. Now, which path should I take? Suddenly, Augustin came to me with a wrinkled piece of paper. How about you start with this? Gosh, you still keep it? Let's say I'll give it a try. Hi, it's me again, and today is the grand opening of my baby clothes store. All the clothes here are my own designs. Adorable, right? And my marketing and branding expert, aka my soulmate, is this guy. Oh, of course, my family was also here. Mom. Wow, Rosie had just spoken her first word. Let's take a picture to capture this memorable moment. 3, 2, 1. Oh no, sweetie.
A lot of kids don't like Mondays, but I do. The start of a new week is full of so many possibilities. And, oh my days, who is she? Whoa, she's beautiful. She is the prettiest girl I've ever seen. She must be new here because I definitely haven't seen her around here before. I'm Evan, and as you can see, I'm kinda short and skinny. I might not be a muscly jock or anything, but I do have a big brain. I'm top of the class in math, sciences, geography, and soy el mejor de la clase en español. I'm proud of my collection of trophies and awards, and as a result, lots of kids in school know who I am. But I don't really like talking to new people. For such a smart guy, I find small talk awkward. It's like the words freeze in my head or something. Anyway, this is the main reason why I've been single for, well, forever. It doesn't matter. I need to focus on my studies anyway. But I do like girls, especially petite girly girls who need me to protect them. Being the smart guy I am, it didn't take me long to find out that the new girl is called Kayla. Kayla. What a sweet name. After a few days of looking through her social media accounts, I'd fallen deep for her. I wanted to tell her how I felt, but I'm just too shy and awkward. So I asked my best friend Liam for advice. Bro, what are you so scared of? You're the #1 guy in this school. Yeah, but only with books. Liam nudged me and said, Only? Dude, it's a big deal being that smart. Girls absolutely love it. You're a bright-looking guy and a top student. Just need to add a little bit of confidence, my friend. I was not sure about that, but what do I know? And Liam is good with girls, so I had to trust him. In fact, I am smart, and I should be proud of it and use it to my advantage. So what should I do to make a move? Now you need to prepare her a gift and surprise her with it in the canteen. Girls love romantic gestures like that. What kind of gift? Don't sweat it. Just get her something you think she'll like. The next day at recess, I carried a box to the canteen. I spotted her sitting with her friends. Oh boy, this was terrifying, but also kind of exciting. As I walked over to her, I noticed how pretty she looked today. Suddenly, she stood up and went to the food stall. Okay, so she was taller than I thought. Yeah, she's quite a bit taller than I thought. Oh no, she's a giant in comparison to me. Abort mission, abort! I turned around and started to walk off when I accidentally bumped into someone and dropped my box. All of my trophies and awards scattered across the floor, along with the love letter I'd written for Kayla. My eyes locked on it, and I was about to leap forward and grab it, but the girl picked it up. Then in a really loud voice said, "Oh look, Evan has a crush on Kayla. Who knew a nerd could have such high standards? Or should I say, tall standards?" Then everyone burst out laughing. Oh boy, this was embarrassing, so I hurried out of there. Liam, who had been waiting for me outside, stopped me as soon as I passed the door. "Dude, what was that? Are you really giving her those as a gift?" He snatched the box out of my hand and took a look inside. "Well, you said to get her what she liked, and you also said girls like smart guys, so don't these show off enough of my charm?" No, not like that. I just expected you to get her a teddy bear or some flowers. Evan, this ain't it." So this was it. My life was over. I'll be a laughingstock forever. I'll have to convince my parents to let me move schools. No, to let me move planets. Huh? It's from Kayla. What? She says she likes me too. Is this thing broken or something? Wow. She says she's heard a lot about me and she admires my achievements. And she wants to hang out sometime. Not long after that, we started dating. She's such a fun girl to be around. But there's one thing bugging me. She's so tall, and standing next to her constantly reminds me that I am so short. It never really bothered me before, but it does when I'm around her. People have always said I'm small-framed, but being next to her makes me feel like I'm a hobbit or something. I decided to bulk up, so I started going to the gym, but it was so hot and sweaty in there, it made me feel sick, so I gave up. I was born this way anyway. There's nothing I can do about it. Meanwhile, Kayla didn't seem to bother that I was smaller than her, and being seen in public with me didn't faze her at all. But I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable. So after class, when she was waiting for me by the door to go to lunch together, I muttered out some excuse about needing the library, and I'd meet her there in a bit. I know it sounds bad, but I didn't want to hang out with her at school, as I didn't want the other kids gawping at us and making fun of our height difference. I've been in here all lunchtime. I don't want to see Kayla. Oh no, there she is. Phew, she's gone. Oh, why do they put these things so high up? Here, let me. I turned to see it was Kayla. Then she easily grabbed the book and passed it to me. Startled, I peered around to check no one had seen this and spotted two girls giggling and whispering to each other. This was so humiliating. It was bad enough that Kayla was bigger than me, but she was a sporty girl, so she was also stronger than me. One lunchtime, I was struggling to open my bottle of Coke. Suddenly, Kayla appeared, grabbed it off me, and even though I muttered out I wanted to do it, she ignored me and opened it with ease. Then, one night while I was studying, Liam texted me telling me to go check my Insta. There was a picture of me sitting on Kayla's lap in the school garden. What? And then beneath it were loads of comments such as, "Whoa, little baby Evan with She-Hulk Kayla." And one of my friends even said, "Clearly Evan's the wife and Kayla's the husband." No, this couldn't be happening. That afternoon in the school garden, I'd asked Kayla to check my back for an insect bite. But before I could stop her, she'd pulled me onto her lap to check. But some jerk had taken a photo and posted it online saying, "Little Evan is sitting on the lap of his Hulk girlfriend." I was furious, especially with my friend's comment. I mentioned it to Kayla, but she just shrugged and told me they were only messing about and it was no big deal. After that, I didn't want to be around Kayla so much. She just made me feel so small, and I hated being laughed at by the other kids. A few days later, I was running in PE class when I tripped over my own feet and fell so hard onto the ground that I almost fainted. I lay there seeing stars and feeling like an idiot when a load of kids gathered around me. Kayla was also in the sports hall having her training lesson, so she ran over to me and ordered everyone to give me space. Then she bent down and lifted me up in her arms and carried me across the room. This was mortifying, So with the last bit of my energy, I shouted, "Put me down! I'm not a baby!" "Oh, okay. I'm just trying to help you." "I don't need your help. It's embarrassing. It's like you're the man in our relationship. You make me feel inferior." Everyone was gawping at us and whispering. Then Kayla put me down and walked off in silence. She looked upset, and I felt kinda bad. That night, Kayla messaged me asking to meet me in the park. When I got there, she was already waiting for me on a bench. I sat down next to her and said, "Look, Kayla, I'm sorry about before. I was just..." "Stop. I want us to stop. You care too much about what other people think. So what if I'm taller and bigger than you? Who cares? You've never been small or weak in my eyes." I was speechless, and she continued, "You just don't value or appreciate me. I know you avoid me at school. I don't want a boyfriend who's embarrassed to be seen with me. I deserve better than that. So it's over, Evan." Then she stood up and walked off. I watched her go, and even though I wanted to run after her and beg her to forgive me, I didn't. I just sat there all alone, feeling like a fool. That night I thought about it a lot. I knew she was right. I've been a jerk, and now I'd lost my amazing, funny, beautiful girlfriend. I shouldn't have let other people's opinions affect me so much because, on reflection, they were irrelevant. I liked her, and she made me happy. So what if she could reach books that I couldn't? Thinking about it, she was actually really helpful to have around. A few days later, I texted Kayla to apologize and asked her for another chance, but she didn't reply. So I arrived at her doorstep with flowers in a box. Kayla opened the door and frowned at me. "I'm an idiot. A great, big, small idiot. But I really like you, Kayla, and I want everyone to know it. I really like Kayla! Please give me another chance, as I'm miserable without you." She stayed silent for a sec, but it felt like an eternity to me. I felt like I could faint until she spoke up. "Yes," she smiled at me. "I'll give you another chance, but don't mess it up this time." I leaped into her arms and hugged her. Yeah, she was holding me in the air, but I didn't care. I was just so happy she was my girlfriend again. After that, I passed her the box, which was full. No, not of my trophies and awards, but tubs of strawberry ice cream, her favorite flavor. I might be small and Kayla might be tall, and yeah, okay, maybe this does look funny to some people, but I don't care what anyone thinks anymore. I'm just over the moon, stars, hey, the entire solar system that she's agreed to be my girlfriend again.
When my boyfriend and I broke up before heading off to different universities, I never imagined that my love life would take a pretty dramatic turn, where I ended up being the third wheel in an affair. Let me backtrack a bit. I'm Juliana, a 19-year-old amateur marathon runner. I'd been a part of a running club for the past 5 years that met twice a week. And during that time, I became quite close to 2 of the runners there. They were both much older than me, but we got on well. Leo was a middle-aged bachelor, and Charlotte was a mom of 2 and had been married for more than 20 years. They both worked together in the same trading company, and I can't really explain it, but we all just clicked. We always ran together, but one morning, Leo didn't turn up. That was odd because he never missed a session. Anyway, Charlotte and I ran together, and that night I received a message from Leo asking if I wanted to have dinner with him. I was a bit surprised, but this was Leo's first time inviting me to a private meal. But I still said yes, and we went to a restaurant downtown. At dinner, we got into some deep conversations, and at one point I asked him, "Why have you stayed single till now?" He stopped a bit and replied to me, "It's hard to say, but I've just had a bad breakup a few years ago, and I wasn't ready to get into another relationship." Oh, that's why he decided to stay single, even though he's a pretty successful and attractive man. It was quite awkward after that. So I broke the silence by asking him why he hadn't come running that morning, and he just said something had come up at work. He was acting a little strange, but I didn't push it. Anyway, it was a nice dinner, and afterwards we shared a cab home, as we lived on the same street. Well, that's when something weird happened. Charlotte was waiting on his doorstep. Leo looked shocked to see her there and quickly ran out to check what was wrong. Charlotte hadn't seen me, so I wound the window down and happily waved to her, but to my complete surprise, she looked kinda annoyed. Then she just said they had work to do. and she hoped I got home safely. I didn't give it much thought, but in hindsight, oh, what kind of work project needs to be done at 10 p.m.? Anyway, I didn't give it much thought. Surely there couldn't have been anything going on, right? I mean, Charlotte and Leo are colleagues and also close friends. And I'd met Charlotte's family. Sure, her husband was away for work a lot, but they loved each other. And they had kids together. I got home and chilled for a bit. Then about an hour later, I received a text from Leo asking if I'd like to join him for a midnight run. I immediately said yes. Well, to be honest, deep down, I totally had a bit of a crush on him. Even though I knew my parents would freak if they ever found out I was hanging out with the guy old enough to be my dad. It excites me, though. So I went for a run along the beach with him. And afterwards, we got some takeaway food and sat on the sand, listening to the waves and watching the stars. I guess we were both high off adrenaline, and also it was such a romantic setting with all the city lights reflected on the water. So we got into a really deep conversation about relationships and what we want from love. Then one thing led to another, and we started kissing. We ended up spending the whole night on the beach and even watched the sunrise. When I got home, I couldn't stop smiling. But then I saw I had 5 missed calls from Charlotte. I quickly called her back, thinking something must have happened. But when she picked up, she just said, "Where were you last night?" I told her I was on a run, and she said, "With who?" So I said, "With Leo? Why?" And she just said, "Oh, I was just curious. He wasn't answering my calls." Then we hung up. How strange, I thought. Anyway, that night, Leo asked me if I wanted to have dinner together again. And of course I said yes. I was dying to know if last night had just been a one-night makeout sesh, or if it could mean something more. When I saw him, I said to him, "Leo, sorry about last night. I got carried away, and I'm like half your age. I shouldn't have done that." Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I expected him to say it was okay, and that he enjoyed it like I did. But instead, he said, "Yeah, let's just pretend that nothing happened." I felt so awkward after that, but I couldn't deny my feelings for him. After that, we got even closer, though. We spent more time together and spoke on the phone every night for hours. Then one night, Charlotte called me and said she'd had a fight with Leo, and that's why she'd gone to his place the week before. Now it all made sense. So that's why they hadn't been coming to the running club together. She said they still hadn't made up, and she needed someone to talk to. She sounded upset, but wouldn't tell me what the fight was about. Then she asked if we could meet up, although it was quite awkward. I had to tell her I was actually going to the theater with Leo. Leo and I both love going to the theater, and that night we had tickets to see Shakespeare in the Park. She asked why we hadn't invited her to join, and I said she could totally join us, but obviously it was too late to get tickets. Then she just hung up. Next days, I realized that Charlotte and Leo would only attend alternate running sessions so that they could avoid each other. I talked to both Leo and Charlotte about it, but they simply claimed that their work was getting stressful and hence they could only handle one training session a week. Then one Friday morning, I noticed Charlotte was in a seriously foul mood. Normally she was so upbeat, so I asked her what was up, and that's when she told me. She'd been having an affair with Leo for the past 3 years. I was shook. I mean, I guess I should have seen it coming, but I still couldn't hide my shock. I'd thought of her as such a role model, with this amazing family and a great job. And yet, here she was, nothing but a cheat. And with Leo, the guy I was seeing. Oh my God, what kind of mess had I got involved in? Charlotte begged me to keep it a secret, but I couldn't even speak. I was in complete denial. If she knew what Leo and I had been up to, and yet, why did it matter? She was the one having an affair, not me. I continued to see Leo, and one time he even invited me over to watch a movie at his place. And we made out again. It was amazing. But at the same time, I had Charlotte calling me every night for moral support, which made things really weird. For the next month or so, Leo and I kept meeting up, and I loved it. But I knew that if Charlotte found out, she'd kill me. It was such a dilemma. Then one night, she called me and said, "If you're my friend, Juliana, you'll stop seeing Leo. Please, I'm begging you." I couldn't believe it. How did she know? Sorry, Charlotte. How did you find out? She said it was a woman's sixth sense, and that she'd known ever since the night when I'd been in the cab with him. Plus, she said it was obvious that I'd had a crush on him for a while. All right, but why do you care if I'm still with Leo? You're married. He's single. He can do whatever he wants, I said to her. Then she said, please, for my sanity, please stop seeing him. I'm jealous, okay? It hurts to know you're together. Plus, he's not a good guy. Well, that did it. I wasn't going to break the sisters before misters rule, so I stopped seeing Leo. I couldn't hurt Charlotte like that, even though she was actually the one hurting her whole family by having this affair. Not seeing Leo made me miss him so much, but I told myself I had to keep my word to Charlotte. And yet, you won't believe what happened next. Charlotte started seeing Leo again. I was so angry. She'd asked me to stop seeing him and had even said he wasn't a good guy. All so she could have him to herself again? What kind of married woman does that? Honestly, I was raging. One morning after running, I marched over to her and said, do you not have any self-respect? What about your poor husband? Charlotte went bright red and said, I'm trying my best. I know you're right, and I should respect myself and my husband more. You know what? From now on, I will keep my distance from Leo, just like you. Trust me. Okay, so at least she had the decency to say that. And I hoped she could do exactly what she said. After that, I decided to take a break out of this complicated 3-person relationship and tried to forget about Leo. I avoided him at the running club, and he avoided me too. Charlotte told me she'd spoken to him about dating me and how inappropriate it was for him to date someone as young as me. So maybe that's why the feeling was mutual. And he avoided me too. After all, it's better that way. He was way too old for me anyway. Plus, I was heading off to university. So it was all for the best. About Charlotte, after I confronted her, we actually became closer. And even now that I'm at university, she still calls me sometimes to ask how I'm doing. I asked her about Leo, and you won't believe it, but apparently Leo is now dating someone. Okay, I guess that's better for everyone. Although I sometimes wonder, if they break up, will he start up his affair with Charlotte again? Well, it's a story about my ebullient youth, when I got into so much trouble just because I fell in love with a middle-aged man. That whole period of my life was such a weird and messy time, right? But now I'm so glad I've met a nice guy my own age, and of course I never want to get involved in being a third wheel ever again.
Hi, my name is Mia, and I lived the first 14 years of my life trapped in a lie. I never left the house, and by that, I mean never. I grew up believing that I was allergic to the sun, and if I stayed out in it too long, I'd turn to dust. Dumb, I know, but I was just a kid, and I had no reason not to believe what my mom told me. On the rare occasions, I went out into the backyard, and my skin turned all blotchy and puffy. Looking back on it now, it's clear Mom had given me something to bring my skin out in a rash, but at the time, I honestly believed the sun was out to get me. I remember peering behind the curtain and watching the kids play out in the street. They looked like they were having so much fun, and I felt so sad that I couldn't join them. Mom charged into my room, quickly closed the curtain, and then she grabbed my shoulders and shouted at me, "Mia, never do that again. The sun can come in through the curtains and turn you to a crisp. Is that what you want?" I remember sobbing as I shook my head. I never did peer out at the other kids again after that. I could still hear them playing, so I would close my eyes and imagine that I was out there with them, playing chase and learning how to ride a bike. I so wanted that to be my reality. The problem was I didn't have that life. Instead, I was stuck inside with no friends. I'd never even touched the grass before. Mom homeschooled me. She took this really seriously and got really mad when I didn't understand something. One time, I gave the wrong answer to a math equation, so she screamed at me, "You're such an idiot! I've had enough of you!" Then she locked me in my room without dinner. Crazy, huh? But back then, I was so scared that from then, I didn't dare to ask her anything. It's always just Mom and me, and no one else in my house. She said my dad had died when I was a baby. Again, I had no reason not to believe her. I never had a phone to talk to anyone, and who did I have to talk to? Still, I remember being fascinated by this strange object she often pressed to her ear. Whenever she was on the phone, I believed she was talking to herself. Mom would lock me in the house while she went out. Then when she returned, she'd just throw me something to eat. A sandwich, a packet of potato chips, and sometimes she changed the meal to bread. She never really cooked. I'm not even sure if she knew how to. My house was a simple old house. There's not many things in it. No TV, no sofa, a basic kitchen. I mean, it looks like an abandoned house, but I thought it was normal because I had not seen any other houses. My room was small, cold, and dark. I only had a hard mattress and some itchy old pillows. I didn't even have a bed cover. I used to shiver myself to sleep each night and dream of being out there playing with the other kids. Then, things got worse when I turned 10. Mom stormed into my room, gave me some food and a pile of books, and told me that I had to stay in my room from now on, so she knew I was safe. I put up with 4 years of this. It was horrible. She chucked my meals at me and gave me new books once a week. I felt so hungry and lonely all the time. Then one day, when evening arrived and she still hadn't fed me, my hunger pains got the better of me. So I tried the door, and to my surprise, it wasn't locked. So I snuck downstairs. That's when I saw Mom pacing the room, her phone in hand. She said,
"Yes, I know, Toby. Well, she's finally of age, so when are you coming to get her?"
Then she said,
"Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I will be counting the money."
I didn't know what was going on, but I knew something wasn't right. Then I heard Mum say,
"Well, I suppose I better go and feed her then."
I quickly darted upstairs and lay on my mattress. Mum appeared and passed me a sandwich and some water. She sat down next to me, which was odd, as she hardly ever did this. And she smiled at me as she said,
"We need to get you cleaned up, and I've bought you a new dress to wear."
"Why, Mum?" I asked her. Her smile faded into a scowl, and she kicked my mattress.
"Why do you always have to be so insolent?"
I didn't want to upset her further, so I didn't ask her anything else. Then the next day, Mom made me put the new dress on and let me out of my room. Then there was a knock at the door, and Mom brought this strange man in. I'd never interacted with anyone other than Mom before, so I just sat there, feeling afraid. He was around my mom's age and tall, really tall, and he had unkind eyes. He passed my mom an envelope, and she opened it and took out a lot of bits of paper. I know now that this was money, but back then, I didn't fully understand what it was. Mom counted it out, then nodded at him and said,
"She's all yours." "Right. You're coming with me, sweetie."
He walked towards me. What? I stared at him open-mouthed.
"Mia, you're going to live with this man now."
Mom said it like it was no big deal.
"That's what happens when you turn 14. You have to leave."
"But Mom, why? I don't know him. I won't go." Then she slapped me and shouted out loud,
"Go with him. I'm done with you."
That's when I realized that I couldn't live with this woman anymore. I ran out of the front door. Surely turning to dust was better than living with any of them. Only, as the sun touched my skin, it didn't burn. That's when I knew Mom had been lying to me all this time. So I started running without knowing where I was going. I could hear Mom and that Toby guy chasing and shouting after me, but I just kept on running. Every little sound freaked me out, as I didn't understand this world and the people in it. The next thing I remember is some woman shaking me and saying, "Sweetie, are you okay?" I was so afraid at first and curled up into a ball, but then she told me she wasn't going to hurt me, she just wanted to help me. She had kind eyes, not like Mom or that man. So I told her what had happened. She looked completely shocked, but she rang the police. So it turns out that when I was a baby, I was stolen. My mom isn't really my mom at all. She was some messed up woman who took me out of my pushchair and made some awful deal with that Toby man that he could buy me off her when I was 14. She didn't know my real parents. She just saw a chance to grab me, and she took it. It's horrible to think that she robbed me of a normal life, but I try not to dwell on this thought too much. I can't change the past. Then eventually, something amazing happened. My real parents were found. It was so emotional seeing them for the first time. They hugged me and We all just cried. They told me how they'd never stopped looking for me. And guess what? I found out I have a little sister called Izzy. I love hanging out with her and watching her play. She's the best. It's been hard. There's so much I've had to learn, such as how to interact with people, and even how to eat with a knife and fork. My real parents have been so kind and patient with me. Now, at the age of 19, I have some sort of normal life. I still find many things confusing, and I struggle being around large crowds. I had to get used to sleeping on a bed, and I find computers the most confusing thing ever. But I managed to function in the big, wide world. As for my fake mom and Toby, well, they were both sentenced for their involvement in my kidnap and are now in jail for a very long time. I have a chance at leading a normal life in the normal world, and even though what happened to me was horrible, I'm not going to let those cruel people ruin my life. I finally have a loving family, and I know that with their care and support, I can get through anything.
Here's the rest. Thank you so much. No problem. Congrats to you both. You're probably thinking, why is that girl so happy about giving me money? Well, it's my consulting fee for helping to win over her crush. Yep, it all started about a month ago when, thanks to my amazing advice, my BFF Haley won over this hot boy, Luke. And the best part is, it only took one picture. Well, I know that boys like Luke are so fed up with dating the popular, hard-to-please girls. So when my cute, sweet-natured friend handed him a sketch she drew of him, then shyly confessed her feelings for him, as expected, Luke fell head over heels for her. How did I come up with such a cool plan, you ask? Well, I basically have the superpower to read boys' minds. That, and I also know the real personality of each type of boy. Why? It's because I've lived with my 3 wonderful brothers for the past 15 years, and every day I had to put up with their bad habits. Ugh. Such as my eldest brother, Axel, the jock. Outside, he was always shiny and well-groomed, but at home, he never tidied his room and once went a full week without bathing. Ew! Then there's my second oldest brother, Stefan, the prodigy who didn't say much. Unless he's at home. Then he won't quit bragging about everything in the world. I swear, I've never seen him be quiet for more than a minute. Then lastly is my youngest brother, Gavin, the friendly one. Haley thinks he's so kind and gentlemanly, but she doesn't see him at home when he's always teasing me and stealing my food. God, just talking about it makes my blood boil. So tell me, ain't I qualified to open a relationship counseling service with such broad knowledge of guys yet? And actually, it was Haley's idea. She'll go find clients, and I will give advice to help them win their crush's heart. And up till now, our consulting success rate is 100%. So it's not surprising that our name quickly spread throughout the school. One day, I was eating lunch when Haley ran up to me and excitedly said, "We have a big client." Who is it? Turns out it was Claire, a popular mean girl at school. I immediately shook my head. I'm not going to do it. You know I don't like Claire at all. Come on, she's paying double than usual. Nope, I don't want to help her. But Madeline, please, I already took her money. What? Was she being serious? Then, meeting my glare, Haley hurriedly continued. You see, Claire is already super popular. So, with your brilliant mind full of tips and tricks, she'll get the guy, and you'll get the validation. I suppose this would be good for the consultancy. Besides, Haley had a point. Regardless of the type of boy, I always knew what was needed to attract him. Okay, so who's our target? Ryan. What? Ryan, as in the nerd? Claire likes him? In response, Haley just smiled, nodded, and then bit into her lunch. Well, I didn't expect that. But whatever, that was Claire's business. Even if the target was a nerdy boy known for hating girls and not dating, it couldn't intimidate this Madeline. So, I embarked on the tactic mission for Claire. Now, let's see.
A nerd would definitely fall for a girl with the same interests as him, right? So, the very next day, as planned, Claire was waiting for Ryan in front of the literature class. Seeing Ryan from afar, she immediately pulled out the book Wuthering Heights and pretended to be reading intently. But Ryan just passed by without even glancing at her, so she immediately chased after him and read a paragraph aloud. But Ryan kept on walking and even put his headphones back on. At this point, Claire could only stand there and stomp her feet. Well, that was a big fail. Seems like I needed to change the strategy. What about Lego? I mean, what nerd didn't like that? With this in mind, I spent the whole day helping Claire assemble a model of Hogwarts to give to Ryan. She proudly showed him the masterpiece, but he muttered out, "No thanks," then walked off, leaving Claire with a dumbfounded look on her face. And so, over and over again, from getting Claire to give him Star Wars cookies, to sticking a picture on his locker of her dressed as Black Widow, my tricks just didn't work on Ryan. God, why was this guy so odd? A few days later, as I was putting my books in my locker, Claire appeared and said snidely, "What kind of services are you guys providing? It's been weeks. Why hasn't Ryan noticed me?" Slow but steady. Just keep with it. Trust me. Poof, trust you? I'll only give you another week. If you don't get the job done by then, I'll make sure everyone knows how much your advice sucks. Then she left. Ugh, what an obnoxious snob. But what else can I do? I must finish the job, else my consultancy services would be over. Besides, this Madeline couldn't fail like that. And that's when I had an idea. As you can see, Ryan is engrossed in writing an essay on his laptop. And there's me, Claire, and Haley sitting on the table nearby, pretending to read books, when in actual fact, we were watching Ryan's moves. Suddenly, Ryan let out a yelp, which made the whole library jump and gained him a dirty glare from the librarian. Then Claire sashayed over to him and said in a sweet voice, "Hey Ryan, is everything okay?" "No, my laptop's glitched out. My important essay is on there and I haven't saved it. This can't be happening." He jabbed at the keys. "I'll take a look. I'm pretty good with computers." She leaned over the laptop. Suddenly, Ryan's laptop made a noise and came back on, and the essay was perfectly fine. Wow, who would have thought that a hot girl like Claire would be such an IT expert, right? Ryan profusely thanked Claire and even invited her to lunch. Aha! Success, finally! But hey, don't tell me you also believe that Claire knows that much about computers. Of course not. It's all thanks to my brother Stefan. He showed me how to quickly install software to make it look like it was broken. So I used it on Ryan's laptop when he went to grab a book. My bro also showed me the secret code to get it working again in a flash, and I passed this on to Claire. Finally, the most difficult mission I've ever faced was over, and Claire and Ryan were officially dating. I wanted to celebrate, so I planned a movie trip with Haley. But then Luke surprised her with amusement park tickets, and she canceled to go with him. Ugh, so much for mates before dates. So here I am alone. It's safe to say I was in a bad mood, but then, to make it worse, the couple sitting behind me kept teasing each other, loudly smooching, and even kicking my chair. Ugh! I can't take it anymore. I turned around and was about to give them a piece of my mind. Huh? It was Claire with Jackson, the troublemaker from math class. The two of them also panicked when they saw me. What is this? Didn't she just ask me to help win over Ryan? Before I could ask her what was going on, she dragged me into the lobby. You better keep quiet about this or else. I don't get it. I thought you liked Ryan. Please. Of course I don't actually like that nerd. I'm just using him. If you tell anyone about this, I'll make sure your consulting service is finished. What? Is she threatening me? Well, it's true that she paid for the consulting service, but that doesn't mean I accept her using me for malicious purposes. I couldn't just stand by and watch Claire play with Ryan's feelings like this. So I left the movie theater and went around to Ryan's house. As soon as he opened the door, I blurted the truth out to him. He looked bummed out about it, and then shouted at me to go away. Please, Ryan, we can't let her get away with this. We need to teach her a lesson. He thought about this, then eventually nodded and gruffly said, "Yeah, fine. Whatever." Luckily, that weekend, Claire's parents invited Ryan over for dinner. Now, let the payback plan commence. "It's Claire. My phone went off, so I borrowed my sister's to text you. Come over in 15 minutes. I miss you so much."
Okay, on my way. Love you. X.
I was going over the plan once again in my head, then I suddenly saw someone sneaking near Claire's bedroom window. It was Jackson. He quickly climbed into Claire's room. I texted Ryan at once. "The prey has arrived," then climbed in after Jackson. Seeing me, Jackson was frantic.
What on earth are you doing here?
Right at that moment, we heard footsteps outside. Afraid to be caught, Jackson ran over to the window to escape, but I quickly rushed over to block his way.
What are you two doing in Claire's room?
That was Claire's mom, and behind her was Ryan, and a panicked-looking Claire.
Claire, please can you explain to me why there appears to be a gathering taking place in your room?
Claire gave a flustered look, then blurted out, well, I'm dating Jackson. I only lied to you that I was dating Ryan because he's a top student, so you wouldn't stop me going out to see him, as I knew you'd never accept Jackson." It turns out, Claire's parents were so excited about her daughter dating such a smart boy like Ryan that they wanted to invite him over, which is why she hired me to help. They were furious to learn she'd been deceiving them, and no surprises, they grounded her for a month with no allowance. Poor her, but she had it coming. So, now what? Well, I decided to stop the consultancy service. I love helping people, but I don't like seeing anyone get hurt. Most people used my service for the right reasons, but I can never be sure that someone wouldn't use it for the wrong reasons again, and I don't want to be any part of that. It's not all bad anyway, as I've made a new friend out of it, Ryan. Speaking of which, he once caught up with me after class and said,
"Hey, I need your consultancy help. It's pretty urgent."
I sighed and replied, "Ryan, you know I don't do that anymore."
"But you owe me one. I want you to help me ask this cute girl out. I really like her. Her name is Madeline."
"Huh? I didn't know any other Madelines."
"Oh,
hang on. Did he mean me?" Right on cue, Haley and Luke appeared. "Hey, Ryan, if Madeline rejects your case, I'll do it. I have a lot of experience, too." I rolled my eyes at her, then peered at Ryan. OMG, he liked me. I couldn't stop blushing. It looks like this matchmaker may have just accidentally managed to match herself.
Hey, Diana here. Last time you saw me, I had just received some life-changing news. I'd lived in a beautiful castle my entire life, but only as a servant to my best friend, Princess Anne, until I was revealed a huge secret. I was actually the daughter of the late Queen Mary. Only she wasn't dead. She was being held prisoner by her sister, the current Queen Miranda. Also, that made me a real princess. I was still skeptical about it, so I went on a mission to find answers and free Mary. I found a friend in Harry, a delivery driver for the castle who showed me the poor conditions most people in the kingdom were living in. But the thing is, I didn't spill a word to anyone about my identity until I received my DNA results, confirming a connection with Queen Mary.
Why? All this time, you've been keeping it from us? Your citizens?
I had my reason, okay? And I only found out about this not long ago. But yes, Queen Mary is indeed still alive. Then I began to tell Harry and his father the whole story. I know it sounds crazy, but
I believe you. DNA doesn't lie. I'm sorry for doubting you. But the important thing is, you're the true heir to the throne. You're gonna be the key to end Miranda's tyranny. Slow down, son. We'll need a perfect plan, or else it would cost us our lives. And we can't do it without you, Diana.
I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. The fate of the whole country was now resting on my shoulders, and I wasn't sure I was ready. I needed a little time to clear my head, so I took a walk through the town street, only to see this heartbreaking scene.
Please, Diana, help us. Our supply is running out, and we'll soon owe grand tributes to the palace. Next month is Princess Anne's coronation.
I didn't know what to say to them. I couldn't promise I would succeed. Gosh, I just needed one moment away from all this. I snuck away to a hill, and shortly after, Harry found me.
You're okay? I'm sorry if I put a lot of pressure on you. Just know that you don't owe us anything, and it's up to you whether you want to do this or not.
I really appreciate that. But yeah, I knew I had to do this. Just not sure how.
Don't worry, okay? We'll figure this out together.
For a minute there, I lost track of everything as I gazed into his sparkling eyes. But this is not the time, Diana. I shook my head, and when I opened my eyes again, the lights from the aristocratic area lit up. That's when it hit me. Hey, let's ask the Noble District for help. They have more resources than they could ever need.
We've tried that, but every single time they'd send hunting dogs to chase us away.
So they're just as corrupted as Miranda. Then we'll have to take it from them instead.
Let's assemble the people.
The next morning, everyone gathered at the square. I had rehearsed my speech all night, and I was ready. Citizens of our kingdom, listen to me carefully. Rise up and reclaim what belongs to you from the nobles and the dictator Miranda. We can't keep our heads down and put up with this anymore. We need to unite and fight them for our resources.
But we're not fighters. They take us down immediately.
That won't happen. We outnumbered them by a wide gap. We can beat them if we're willing to. So, what do you say? No one replied. They all looked concerned and doubted my words. Right then, some nobles walking their ferocious hunting dogs passed by.
Hey, what the heck do you think you're up to? Dissolve, immediately.
Then they released their barking dogs on the crowd. People started screaming in fear. I tried my best to calm them and bring the truth to light. Can't you see? These people and the Queen live in luxury because they robbed us of our food, our wealth, our dignity. Do you know what the beef and pork you worked so hard to raise are used for? To feed these dogs. Meanwhile, all you have to get by on is dry, moldy bread. And you're just gonna accept that? Do you want to spend your whole life bowing down to these cold-blooded people? I held my breath as they murmured to each other. Then they stood up taller, stronger, together.
Get out of our town. You have no power over us anymore.
They shouted at the nobles, forced them and their dogs to retreat. The people cheered as they left the city square. Harry and I looked at each other, knowing we needed to act now. So we led the people to the nobles' food storage to reclaim everything that rightfully belonged to them. The news of our coup quickly reached Queen Miranda, who issued a nationwide warrant for my arrest. I had to watch my back everywhere I went, but luckily, the citizens were looking out for me too. Like when the soldiers were on to me, Aaron, the flower shop owner, told me to hide in his flower cart. When they approached, he replied,
"No one is here except me, you fools. Get out of my way."
Then continued to push his cart away, leaving the soldiers dumbfounded. Another time, I was on the run again from the nobles when the trolley came near. The driver told me to hop on, then handed me a uniform and a fake mustache, and voila! We confused the heck out of those nobles. But there were many more encounters like that with Miranda's minion. It'd be a matter of time before they caught me, so we had to overthrow Miranda before that happened. At the same time, we also needed to get a stable food resource for the people. I knew the castle's layout like the back of my hand, so we hatched a plan to sneak in. And we had to take action before the coronation ceremony, when Anne is supposed to ascend the throne. If not, Anne would just become Miranda's puppet, and the country would endure her tyranny for many more decades. This was our only chance, because the palace's security would be at its most vulnerable since everyone would be gathered at the chapel preparing for the coronation. It is time to end this, once and for all. The night before the coronation, we snuck into the castle as planned. I led a group of people disguised as servants down to the dungeon to rescue Queen Mary. Meanwhile, Harry led the rest of the storage warehouse to seize the largest food storage in the palace to make the enemy surrender entirely. But when we arrived at the dungeon, Miranda was already there.
Diana, what are you doing here? Run, now!
Shut up, sister.
I was waiting for my niece.
How did you know I'm here?
Ha! Do you genuinely believe you could pull off this foolish treason plan without my notice? Guess you really are nothing more than a dumb maid. Guards, bring them out.
I turned around and saw the guards dragging Harry and his team to the cellar.
My guards have already captured your other crew in the warehouse. It's time to end your ridiculous rebellion.
You...
Unless you'd like them to be banished from the kingdom instead.
Do whatever you want with me, but leave these people. Miranda smirked, hearing my words, and ordered the guards to throw me along with the others in the cell.
Please, Miranda, she doesn't deserve to rot in here. You still can't shake off that rambling habit after all these years, sister?
You'll never get away with this. You've oppressed your own people to their limits. Someday soon, they're going to rise up and overthrow you.
Big words for such a little brat. Let me guess, even you couldn't tell that your own partner is my right-hand man. aren't you?
What? Harold, the Count? You're lying. It can't be. Harry, why are you standing there? Say something. But he only turned away, in shame. So this is real? Had he been pretending to be on the people's side all along? What about his family?
I asked him to turn you over for my guarantee of his family's safety and a lifetime supply of food, and he agreed. He had no obligation to you now. He's already betrothed to Princess Anne.
Betrothed?
You'll have the rest of your life in the dungeon to think it over, brat. Harold, let's go.
I was dumbfounded when I suddenly heard a familiar voice echoing through the dungeon. Diana, where are you? Anne, is that you? I'm straight ahead. There you are. I was so worried when you suddenly disappeared. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything. It's okay. I just heard the whole thing since I followed the guards who dragged Harold down here. But don't you worry, I can plead to my mother to release you, under the condition that you and your mom leave the country and never return. Why? You don't really think you can stand against my mom, do you? There's no end to this, Diana. I know, but with your help, we might be able to turn things around. We have to fight for what we believe in, Anne. You still want a simple life and open a bakery, right? This is your chance. But she's my mother. How could I turn against her? Please, Diana, just listen to me. No, Anne. I can't do that to all the people who are suffering out there.
We'd rather stay in here forever than be free and act like Miranda didn't commit all her crimes.
I guess, from now on, we go our separate ways. Goodbye, Anne. Anne burst out crying and left. I slumped at the corner of the dead silent cell. What was I thinking? That I could make a change? And now I had failed everyone. Queen Mary, Stella, Harold, Anne, and everyone else. I don't think I could do this anymore.
Don't cry now, dear. This isn't the end.
I don't even know anymore. There's no way out. Harry must have known I could never succeed. So he switched sides, right? So did Anne.
No, they might have had their reasons, but they did what they did, and it's not your fault. I know it's hard, but you need to get it together. This is not the time to show weakness.
As much as I didn't think I could, I was determined to try. Early the next morning, another group, led by Harold's father, unexpectedly showed up for mine and Queen Mary's rescue. How did you know we were here?
Harry contacted me last night and asked for help. So, here we are. You see, not only me, but the people also believe in you.
I suddenly understood why Harold had to pretend to be on Queen Miranda's side yesterday. He had a backup plan all along. Now we needed to go stop the coronation ceremony ASAP, before it was too late. When we arrived, Anne was already walking up to receive the crown. I dashed through the spectators to get to the front of the crowd. Stop! I object to Princess Anne's coronation because I, Diana, daughter of Queen Mary, am the legitimate heir to the throne, and I have the DNA test as proof. The crowd grew loud as they reacted to this news. Even the soldiers stopped in their tracks.
Guards! Seize her!
Before they could reach me, Harold and a group of civilians created a human shield around me, ready to protest.
Order! Order! That evidence is fabricated and there's no proof of its validity. Don't be fooled by her.
At that moment, Queen Mary finally made her entrance, and the crowd went dead silent.
Citizens of our kingdom, I'm your Queen Mary, and I'm very much alive. But I've been held captive for so many years by none other than my sister, Miranda. It was she who took advantage of my weakness after Diana was born to seize control of the kingdom. Now, she and all of you know the truth, and you know that Miranda is not your— Stop all this ridiculousness! I am still the queen of this kingdom, regardless of how. This is treason. Seize them all, now!
But no one did as she said. The soldiers, officials, and the entire crowd turned to face Queen Mary and bowed before their true queen for the first time in 18 years. Miranda angrily charged towards us, but she took a surprise detour to prison, where she'll await trial. Then an official returned a crown to Queen Mary, but she didn't put it on. Instead, the ceremony was started again, and I was crowned as the new queen of the kingdom. Are you sure? I still have so much to learn.
Why don't you see it for yourself? All hail Queen Diana! Thanks to you, we are saved from the famine and the dictator. You gave us a better life. You are the queen we've been praying for.
I could burst out crying hearing their chanting.
You see, being a queen is not about immense wealth or influence. It is truly about what you have to offer to the world and who you are inside. And you, my dear, are ready for this. Thank you. I'll try my best to live up to your legacy, Mom. I gave her the biggest hug as the crowd cheered on. And so, I officially became the queen. My first order of duty was to return what rightfully belonged to the people. I promised myself that from now on, no one will suffer under my rule. As the people gathered their things, Harold came wanting to talk, and we left for somewhere private. Diana, I want to be honest with you. I originally became a royal official because I wanted to change Miranda's mind and help the people, but no one took me seriously. They said I should know my place and be grateful that a commoner like me landed a place among the nobility. They even forced me to be the one who delivered the tributes from the people to the castle. It made me sick. But the moment I met you, I felt joy and happiness, the kind that I hadn't felt for a while now. I didn't want to accept the truth that I was betrothed to Anne. I just wanted to be with you. I didn't know you feel that way. Mom told me you like me and want to be with me, and she'll let us be after I was sent the throne. Anne! I'm sorry to say this, Princess Anne, but your mother has been deceiving you. I was only engaged to you by her force, not my own will. I deeply regret disappointing your feelings. I'd never expected my first love would end like this, but I'm glad for you, Diana. You too have my blessing. Oh, Anne, I never meant to hurt you. No, this will be good for me. I can finally leave the castle and have a normal life. Become a baker, like I always wanted. Thanks to you, Queen Diana. As sad as it made me to lose her, we'd grown up together after all. I knew it was best to respect her decision and let her go. It was what we both needed. Now that everything else is sorted out, I can breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, wait. Not yet. Harry or Harold? Which one is it? Whichever one you like. Let me make this clear. I'm still mad at you for lying. So you'll face punishments, mister. Well, look who's flexing their power on day one of the reign. What? You dare challenge the queen? No. This humble servant of yours is ready to obey the almighty queen's orders for the rest of my life. Then I order you to kiss me now. At your service, your majesty. Then he pulled me closer and swept me off my feet with the most passionate kiss ever. Guess my story does end like a fairy tale after all, huh?
Everything was like a dream, until one morning Will and the other villagers had to go harvest the crop, and I stayed home to help with some chores. While I was hanging the clothes, I got all shook up by a familiar voice. What do you think you're doing, Mia? Mom? Why are you here? I should be the one asking that question. Guard, take the princess away, now! The two guards immediately followed Mom's orders. Each took one side of my arms and led me away. Are we playing Interpol and the Wanted or what? Get off of me! I can walk by myself! I moved forward but couldn't help turning around a few times to look at Wellspring Village before I got out of sight. I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye to anyone in the village. She meant she didn't get to see Will off. Nah, you idiot. She meant she didn't get to kiss him goodbye. Mwah, mwah. Shut up, you two. Right then, Grace and Liam turned to look at me, extremely worried. Don't look at me like that. I was just talking to the moon, you know. I meant to myself. The queen interrupted me. Don't you think I deserve some explanation for your ignorant act, Mia? Before I could say anything, Liam came to my defense. Your Majesty, please don't be mad at the princess. I'm also at fault. I wasn't asking you! I felt grateful but also sorry for Liam. He had helped me cover up my outings, yet got dragged into all this mess. Mom, how can you call it a charity program when all you do is get dressed up, have lavish parties, and take pictures? I was just trying to help my people. Real help. So if anyone was acting ignorant, it was not me. Your Royal Highness, the princess did not mean that. She meant... You even dared to speak for the princess? Speak for yourself. I trusted you with the princess's safety, and you dared to go against my order and let her out. You're fired, Grace. No. You can't do that. Grace has nothing to do with this. It was me. That's enough, Mia. It's time you grow up and learn to be a true princess. I have decided to move up your engagement ceremony with the Duke. Within the following week, you better behave yourself. What? No way, Mom! No matter how hard I tried to call her back, she didn't turn around. Aren't you gonna do something about it? You and I have to stop this stupid marriage. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? We don't have feelings for each other. Mia, you and I both know we cannot go against the royals' rules. Plus, I wasn't about to say this, but affection can be built up with time. Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have said that. Then I stormed off. When I walked past Grace, her frozen face and teary eyes hurt me even more. The next couple days, the guards followed me 24/7. Are you gonna go in with me or what? I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'll wait outside. Another time, feeling extremely bored, I took a stroll around the palace. Why are you following me from behind like that? Am I your prisoner? Pardon me, Your Highness. Then he swiftly walked in front of me, leading the way. How dare you walk in front of me? Are you the king? I'm sorry. So he slowed down and walked side to side with me. Hey, you are not my friend to be walking next to me like that. Your Royal Highness, I'm not allowed to walk behind you, in front of you, or next to you. Please tell me where I should be then. Can't he just figure it out himself? I walked off, leaving him wailing behind. How embarrassing. Your Highness! Of course, this time I knew that there was no way I could escape the palace. Having no one or no place to turn to, I could only seek solace from Dad. Every day I went to his room, talked or read a book to him. I missed all the fondest memories of us two traveling and having fun together. That was during Halloween when I was 10. Dad and I dressed up as Anna and Elsa without telling anyone and showed up in front of someone's house. Trick or treat! King Daniel? No, wrong house, sorry. Turned out the man was a reporter, so he instantly recognized Dad. Gosh, that time was so hilarious, I thought I peed my pants while running. But those happy carefree days were long gone. Even though I knew Dad was in a deep sleep, I still poured my heart out, telling him everything that had happened. I learned to be a true princess. Every Friday, the whole village would gather around a bonfire to tell him that I was about to be married to someone that I had no feelings for. I miss you so much. Please wake up and put an end to all this. I can't even talk to Mom anymore. Then, I found myself sobbing next to Dad. The next couple days, I couldn't help thinking about Will and the villagers. Does he know I'm about to get married? Just then, I heard some maids talking at the corner. Have you heard about the crazy guy trying to break into the palace? Yeah, he tried to disguise himself as a food supplier, then as a garbage truck driver, and even risked hiding himself in the fish reefer just to get inside the walls. I suddenly felt a thump in my chest. What does he look like? Do you know his name? I don't know his name, Your Highness. He's quite tall and has dark hair. It gotta be Will. I wonder if he's okay. One night I was with Dad, reading for him as usual. I must have dozed off there and been taken back to my room, as I found myself woken up in my bed, hearing all the noisy altercations downstairs. I stepped out to the balcony to see what was going on there, and I couldn't believe my eyes. There he was, being taken away by the royal guards. What is he doing here? I immediately went to find the queen. What's going on, Mom? Why are the guards taking Will away? He has quite some nerve to break into the palace asking to meet the princess. Please let him go, Mom. Don't you think he needs a lesson or two? If he doesn't leave here safe and sound, you will not have me for the wedding with Liam tomorrow. Are you threatening me? How dare you? There's nothing I wouldn't do. Saying that, I left. I never went this far, but that's the only way I could protect Will. I returned to my room when everything was quiet again. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder and almost screamed out loud. Grace! Shh! Why are you here? How did you get in here? Oh God, I missed you so much. Are you doing okay these days? I got in while the guards took Will away. And I'm fine, Your Highness. You saw Will too? Is he fine? Did he get hurt somewhere? Will is fine. Don't you worry. And actually, I'm here to take you to meet up with Will. We have a plan to help you escape the engagement ceremony tomorrow. Then, Grace gave me a truck driver uniform and I quickly got changed. I hopped on the truck and Grace drove it to the gate. That was when we got stopped by the guards. Stop there! Who are you and where are you going? Did I see you come in? We're supplying food for the wedding tomorrow. We have been here since this morning. The guard gave me a look as I felt my heart pounding in my chest before he finally let us go. Phew! Out of the palace, Grace immediately drove us across the forest at a speed faster than the Flash driving the truck. Slow down, Grace! But she didn't reply to me. Instead, she accelerated. I held onto the car as my heart almost jumped out of my chest, and we finally made a stop. As I got out of the car, I realized we were standing by a rocky cliff. Didn't you say we were meeting up with Will? Why are we here? It looked kind of scary. But as I turned around, Grace was right behind me. Grace, what are you doing? I lied to you. There was no arrangement between Will and I, just us two here. But why? Stop, you're making me scared. Why can't you see it? We're in love. Who? You and Will? No, the Duke who will be engaged to you by tomorrow. We're together. That sounds nice. I mean, you and Liam together? But since when? We met and knew each other before, but we only developed feelings for each other recently when we spent time together at the lodge. But then you stole him from me. Suddenly, Grace lunged to push me to the end of the cliff. No. You know Liam and I. We both don't want this marriage. Before I could finish, Grace broke down crying. I knew that. I know you don't want him either. But Liam and we talked about it and he said there was no way we could be together. As I gave up royalty and I'm just a commoner now. And worse, it seemed like Liam was going along with the royal order and accepted this marriage. I don't know what to do anymore. I've never seen this side of her. To me, Grace had always been the toughest, most responsible bodyguard who protected me through everything. But she's just a girl after all. I gave her a warm hug and felt tears streaming down my face as well. The next morning, everyone gathered to witness the moment Liam and I became an official item. But right when Liam was about to put the ring on my finger, I immediately took my hand back. I oppose this marriage. When I was about to continue, someone else spoke up.
We also oppose the marriage.
I was shocked to see Will leading other villagers in.
During the charity program, while the royal family was busy fooling around in that luxurious lodge, the princess was the only one who actually cared to even visit our village. If anyone deserves happiness, it should be the princess.
That's right. The princess deserves to be with someone she loves and live happily ever after.
That's right.
I was so touched to see the familiar faces I hadn't seen in a while. Then I saw the smile and endearing look from Will. Can someone get more handsome after just a few weeks like that? Liam suddenly spoke up.
I oppose this marriage because I'm in love with someone else. Grace, I used to be a coward for not standing up against the royal's order. I thought I wanted to pay back the king for helping my father in the past. But the princess and everyone here made me realize I only had one life to live and I can't afford to hurt anyone. Not Grace, not the princess either.
The crowd fell into chaos, and I could feel the queen boiling up. Right then, a stern voice came, silencing everyone.
This morning, the princess was up very early. Went to find me and cried her heart out, disrupting my sleep. So, I had to wake up to announce this marriage is off. Instead, the princess is allowed to be with whoever her heart desires.
No words could describe the burst of happiness I was feeling as I lunged to hug Dad. But that wasn't it. Dad also decided to make Will the baronet of his village to oversee developments from now on.
You two have my blessings, and could return to Wellspring Village from today.
Hand in hand, Will and I ran out of there, amidst the loudest cheers from all Wellspring villagers and other wedding guests. With the king's approval, I returned to the palace and packed my things to leave. I saw the queen on my way out, but she just turned away coldly without saying anything. Guess some things never change. When everything was ready, Marcus suddenly came to find me.
Your Highness, the queen actually loves and cares about you a lot.
Is that so? She didn't even bother to see me off.
There's something about the queen I think you ought to know.
Marcus and I went to the garden for a private chat when Marcus shared the untold truth about my mom. She was actually a commoner when she married to Dad. Right after the marriage, even though she had become the queen, the royal family never showed her the respect she deserved.
That was why the queen always tried her best to act royal and cover any traces of her humble background. You might think she's always been too strict, too controlling to you, but deep down the queen just wants you to fit in and never be looked down upon like she was.
Seeing me deep in thought, Marcus continued.
Please understand, it was just her love for you. She's a mother after all, who happened to be a queen as well.
I ran to find the queen, who was sitting quietly in the library. She looked like she had cried a lot. Your Majesty, Marcus had just seen me. I know everything now about you and the royal family.
Is that so?
Seeing her still putting up her cold front, I ran to hug her, something I hadn't done in a long time. You could have just told me how much you had to go through. And you could count on me whenever it gets tough, you know? We're a family. I felt warm tears on my back.
I'm so sorry, Mia. I've been so controlling that I forgot you have always been a kind, lovely daughter of mine. I was trying to help you, but I forgot I wasn't giving you the right kind of help. I'm sorry, my darling.
With the Queen's blessing, I went off to Wellspring with Will, and 3 years have passed since. I've built for myself a little family. Mama! Papa! Look who's here! I turned to look and saw the King and Queen approaching us.
Look how much my little boy has grown.
Everything looks so different here. I almost didn't recognize this place anymore. All thanks to the princess for bringing lots of agriculture specialists in here. Our crops have been better than ever, and we have more than enough food for everyone. Now we are trading with other towns, too.
That's right. We also have drinking water now, and men are coming back to help build the village as well. Well, my little Mia has become a great princess, huh?
It's not me. It's a blessing from you both, Your Majesty.